Yeah, Saleh al-Arouri was assassinated yesterday in the Dahia, in the what they call the Hezbollah stronghold, the Hezbollah neighborhood in Beirut, in a meeting with apparently top Qassam commanders in Lebanon. And it's a significant blow. There's no question about it. He was a serious leader. You know, his family was interviewed yesterday, and they said, that he's not any more important than any child that was killed in Gaza, and that he's a part of the struggle in the same trench as their people. And that's true in a sense, but in another sense, he's for sure an important leader. He was a founding member of the Qassam Brigades, the armed wing of Hamas. He spent most of his life in prison, as a lot of the leaders do, either in prison or assassinated. And that's part of the cost of being in the resistance program. And when he was in prison, he really built the foundations of the Qassam Brigades, which in many ways, a key pillar of the movement was in the prisons, of course, because the Israelis arrest these guys, like in the first Intifada. They arrested people like Saleh al-Arouri or Yahya Sinwar before they even really knew what role the Qassam Brigades were playing in the Intifada and the cells that they had organized. Arouri's from the West Bank, the southern West Bank town of Hebron, which is a Qassam Brigades and Hamas. I don't want to use the word stronghold, but I guess that's the term that the media has been pushing on us over the last couple of days. So it's stuck in my head. But significant, roots of the movement in the Hebron area. And he spent a critical period of his life in prison, which is one of the reasons why he wasn't assassinated. It's because he was in prison for, he spent 2 decades in prison. And so it's important to note that, that kind of a leader, it's difficult to replace. He has a lot of institutional knowledge. He has very senior connections with the other with the important resistance axis regimes in Iran, and of course with Nasrallah and Hezbollah in Lebanon after Arouri was deported in the aughts. So he was an important overseas commander of the Qassam Brigades, and he's, his institutional knowledge, as I said, it's very difficult to replace. But at the same time, we know that these assassinations don't destroy the movement. They don't decapitate the movement. And I think a lot of the reasons why Israel's taking a pot shot and breaking the rules in the, in the northern front and attacking deep inside of Lebanon in Beirut is at a meeting, is because they can't reach any leadership in Gaza. They haven't been able to pull any kind of military success out of what's happening in Gaza, the massacres. And now we're seeing that Israel's starting to draw down its fight. And so they need to have some kind of symbols of victory. And they promised that they would, reach the leadership wherever they were. And so I think that's what they're attempting to do. They're hitting, essentially a soft target. They hit an apartment building in the Dahia. They're not hitting military targets, and they're not, Arouri's an important overseas element for Qassam, but he's not an on-the-ground commander in the fight in Gaza. So it's a very separate kind of attack. And I think that, in the history that shows that these assassinations, they don't work. They don't work on the micro level. When during the Second Intifada, Israel assassinated 175 Palestinian activists and fighters, hunted them by name, and killed them. They killed all of the top Hamas and Qassam, many leadership at the time. Of course, they haven't been able to reach Mohammed Deif, who's the overall commander of the Qassam Brigades in Gaza and has been for a long time. But many of the founding members of Hamas were assassinated, almost all of them. Yeah. And so I think in that sense, it's something that the history shows that it doesn't work. But I wouldn't also want to understate al-Arouri's importance. He's a very central pillar, and yet his death is a loss to the movement for sure.
Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit like, leave a comment. These engagements help us with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps us to get around Silicon Valley censorship as much as possible. It does make a difference. You can also support our journalism by going to electronicintifada.net and clicking on donate now. Thank you.